I just finished an 8,000 mile road trip across the United States in the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Drove from Western New York all the way to Texas to California, back to New York. I assembled a list of all the things I love about this vehicle and all the things I hate about this vehicle. First, I want to talk about all the things I love about this vehicle. And just so you're aware, this is a 2021 all-wheel drive base model Ford Mustang Mach-E. Did not pay any extra for any additional features. Everything that came with this vehicle was standard. The Ford Mustang Mach-E is the king of comfort. From seats, the steering wheel, and all the aesthetics inside the vehicle is very pleasing. The ride is smooth, it's quiet. The side mirrors have puddle lights for at night, especially camping. It was so nice to have the outside area. The seats adjust very well, and the steering wheel adjusts very well. The quality of material used inside the vehicle does not feel cheap. Even the screen, I don't have a screen protector and I have 0 scratches. Now I do suggest if you have nails or jewelry, I would maybe consider getting a screen protector. Some actually get it because of a glare on the center screen, but I have no issues with the glare. During sunsets and sunrises and bright conditions, I had no issues with the center console screen being too dim or too bright. The ability to fold the seats down and sleep in the back with a pretty thick air mattress is impressive. You still have enough headroom. When the seats are folded, there's really no lump or need to build a platform. It lays flat, which is perfect for car camping in certain situations. The frunk has ample space and can be used as a cooler. I kept my garbage in there and smelly shoes in there. It really is separate from the vehicle, so when you're living inside or sleeping inside, you don't have to worry about odors from clothes or shoes or garbage. You just keep it in the frunk. The Ford Pass app allows you to roll down the windows, open the trunk, lock the vehicle, which is super key when sleeping inside. I will be releasing a future video on this, on how to deck this out for car camping. The comfort doesn't stop at the design or quality of material in the Ford Mustang Mach-E. The comfort continues with its technology. At superchargers, the Mach-E has a plug-and-go feature which makes charging very convenient. You activate the specific charger within the Ford Pass app, plug in, and it charges your EV. Your credit card gets saved right in the Ford Pass app, which makes things very convenient when just charging up. The cord Ford gives you is super long and it's very well built, the charger. It seems very durable. You can plug into a standard wall outlet or a 240 line, which is perfect for camping. Sometimes I had to rent a campground just to plug in to get to some of the remote areas or national parks. Like in Big Bend, I literally had to stop at a campground and charge overnight. On my road trip across country, these technological features Ford provides you with make the Mach-E long drives and days effortless. The first feature I love are the auto-sensing windshield wipers. After activating your windshield wipers, the Mach-E is able to sense how hard it's raining and adjust the speed of the wipers for you. The next feature I love using was using Ford's voice commands. You could set the temperature. Hello, Ford, turn AC to 70. You could turn the volume up or down, etc. My favorite thing about the Ford Mach-E is the adaptive cruise control and center lane technology. I've driven across country before in a gas motorhome and have taken vehicles for far trips. The Mach-E is so much more enjoyable to drive than any gas vehicle. When activated, center lane technology is always on. As long as the vehicle sees the yellow and white line and locks you into place, it is basically self-driving as long as you have your hand on the steering wheel. This was so comfortable, especially when getting tired on long drives. It was an added comfort knowing the Mach-E was going to keep me between lanes. You use a lot of focus and energy passing vehicles to make sure you were in your lane, and with the Mach-E, you didn't have to tense up about passing cars. Plus, the adaptive cruise control is so underrated on this vehicle. During my 9 to 5 days in stop and go traffic, this vehicle is an absolute dream to drive. The Ford Mach-E gives you an option to set how many car lengths behind a vehicle you want to stay. For example, you could set your cruise speed to 60 miles per hour. If the person in front of you is driving 50 miles per hour, the Mach-E will decelerate to 50 miles per hour and stay 1 through 4 car lengths behind that vehicle. If the vehicle slams on their brakes or even stops, the Mach-E will slow down and stop. If the Mach-E comes to a complete stop, You do not need to go and reset the cruise control. You literally just hit the OK button on the steering wheel to resume. Another feature the Mache has is that it can read street signs. It will tell you the speed limit, and you could set the vehicle to drive a certain tolerance above or below the speed limit. For example, if you want to drive 5 miles above the speed limit, the Mache will read the street sign and speed up to 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. It works great in heavy rain, heavy snow, or when the snow gets stuck and blocks sensors. All of the technology, it works really well. But it may be disabled during harsh conditions. Another feature I use are the side mirror lights, which show an oncoming car or a car next to you. The backup camera is really clear at night and you can see very, very well with it. Ford spent a lot of time on so many minor details that make this vehicle great. Whether it's the Ford Mustang logo or the Ford logo, you could tell the people building this vehicle were extremely passionate about it, and it really showed through. I've assembled a list of all the issues that I have with this vehicle, and keep in mind the majority of them have to do with the technology or software. The first problem I have is the Ford navigation system is very average and glitchy. I ended up having to use Apple Maps at times because the Ford navigation was frozen or not interacting. If the distance is extremely far, like a road trip across country in my example, the Ford navigation wouldn't even calculate directions. Like for going from Buffalo to Big Bend National Park, it would not even give me directions or calculate the ride. The Ford navigation is nice because it shows you a route with chargers. It will tell you how much you have charged, and it will also show you a radius of how far your charge range will go, and it will tell you how long you should charge for your next stop, approximately how long it will take at that next charger. It estimates your arrival time, which includes the time it takes to charge, but I did find that it was not always accurate. What would happen when leaving a supercharger, the Ford navigation would not work. As I would visit a supercharger and I would leave, it would give me directions back to the supercharger I was just at, although I was fully charged. So I would have to pull out my iPhone, go to Google Maps, and type in the address of the next supercharger. I just prepared ahead of this and got used to doing it in case this happened. The Ford navigation system at times would warn me that I was out of range of a supercharger or out of range of chargers altogether, although I was still in range of a charger. It made me very nervous at times, especially in Chorizo National Monument. I didn't have any cell receptions, and I think the Mach-e sent a warning that I was out of range, although I had plenty of range to the next supercharger. This leads me into my second issue, is that the Ford screen, which I believe still has to do with the navigation system, during my 8,000 mile road trip while driving across country, the screen actually crashed 3 separate times. It was very unnerving that the heart and brain of the vehicle would just randomly turn off. Every time it happened, I was in warmer conditions, so it's possible that the screen just overheated. The next issue I wish Ford had thought of is with setting the threshold when reading street signs. I wish Ford had a feature where you could say if the speed limit is between 0 to 30, you can go the speed limit. Then 35 through 55, you could go 5 miles over. Then say 60 through 80, you could do 10 miles over. On the throughway, I would set the tolerance to 10 miles over, but when you enter a small town and hit a 30-mile-an-hour sign, the Mach-e would accelerate to 40 miles an hour. I found myself messing with the tolerance to the point where I just set it to the speed limit. But the other problem is if I was going over the speed limit and the Mach-e saw a speed sign and it was lower, the Mach-e would actually slow me down and decelerate. So I really didn't like either, and it almost had me wanting to turn the feature right off. It is a nice feature to have so you don't speed and get a speeding ticket, but I did find myself getting frustrated at times, and I really think setting a tolerance at different speeds would solve this issue. Ford Pass app can be somewhat annoying with all the notifications and some issues. You do get a key fob with the Mach-e, but I and a majority of people just use their phone. The Ford Pass app on the phone does glitch out from time to time. I did get a software update and I haven't had an issue since. Also in the Ford Pass app, trying to roll up the windows, not necessarily down, but if the windows are down and you're trying to roll them up, sometimes they don't go up and you have to do it several times. The fifth thing I don't like about this vehicle is not having enough chargers or broken chargers in remote areas or national parks. Now I know that has nothing to really do with Ford, but Ford is really relying on Electrify America quite a bit, which is owned by VW. The thing that hurts this vehicle and a lot of other EVs is its overall lack of range, but more so lack of chargers. In order for me to see Big Bend National Park, I had to charge 6 hours at a non-supercharger at a hotel, at a restaurant. As long as you are patient and have time to wait, it's not a big deal. A lot of times you would pull into a charging parking space just to find out that the charger was down or out of order, so you would have to back out, pull into another charger. Sometimes it would actually require you to plug in to find out that the charger wasn't working. The Ford Pass app tells you which ones can be activated or are out of order, but not always. And I found myself not pulling into charging parking spaces, blocking the parking lot flow of traffic, then having to quickly get out my phone, open the Ford Pass app, and see which chargers were working. It added to the anxiety of charging. The process consisted of 1, opening the Ford Pass app to see which charging stations are available. 2, pull in and activate the charger through the Ford Pass app. 3, get out and plug in. 4, while waiting, search of the next supercharger and check for extreme elevation gain between times. 5th, check range and make sure to have 10 through 50 miles extra depending on elevation gain. 6, get directions to the next supercharger through Apple in case Ford navigation crashes. The 6th issue I had is the range estimate from Ford is very inaccurate. I actually reset my driving data before the trip, hoping it would give me a fair, accurate reading considering all the additional weight I was traveling with. And the first supercharger was too far away. I actually had to turn around to another charger. Also, going to Big Bend to El Paso, I had an extreme range anxiety going up in elevation. The vehicle will tell you how many miles you have when you get to the next charger. When I left, it said I would arrive at the next charger that I should have around 30 miles extra. Due to the elevation gain, the 30 extra miles the vehicle told me while driving there went all the way down to only 3 miles extra. Going up in elevation, the vehicle did not think I would make it to my next charger. I started driving 20 miles per hour below the speed limit to increase the range, which slowed me down tremendously. Then, by the time I got to the next supercharger, I had 20 miles extra of range. I found myself checking elevations of certain towns, between towns, and you were going up in elevation from superchargers, you better have more than enough range to get there. From Bakersfield to Vegas, I would make sure to have at least 30 to 50 miles extra of range going through those mountains. The 7th issue I have with this vehicle is the random range loss. Whether you were parked outside or running the heat, certain things drain the battery in a way that is hard to calculate. If I was camping outside, I would have to determine the temperature, the wind chill, and try to guess how much range I would lose. Then running the heat on a long trip makes you nervous watching that extra range dwindle away. The reason I picked Ford over Tesla was because of the building experience of Ford and having quality control. Teslas have been known to have quality control issues in regard to the build, and I'm happy of the decision I made because I really don't like having quality control issues. The only issues I have with this vehicle are with the Ford software and the technology. I don't have experience with Tesla, but my understanding is that Tesla's software is what makes it so special. As Ford learns and collects data and maybe listens to customers like me who have driven and lived in it and gone across country, I think Ford can improve the glitches in their software over time. Don't get me wrong, the Ford self-driving technology is absolutely incredible. Very underrated. The problems and glitches with the software could all be fixed. Hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm leaving very soon for another trip across country. I'm probably driving down to Florida Keys, gonna do some fishing, some other stuff, living out of the Mach-e. So if you like this video, please like, subscribe for future content.